Donk Nation, Jackson, Janet's greetings and welcome to your Daily Dose of Donkey with Ginger. It's your boy, the Viking Donkey, bringing you some Steelers talk, joined by Laskers, joined by Gingy, coming off a loss. If the audio sounds a little off, I'm sorry. Internet problems like crazy up here in the coldy, windy Alaska have been causing me some oddities. But Laskers, Gingy, lost to the Browns, and as Mike Tomlin said, the game went exactly as we expected. Boy, oh boy, a lot to discuss there.
Gingy in the house, yes, tough loss. Like as we said last week, snot knocker type of game, low scoring defensive affair. Defense played well, held them in, but boy, donkey, we could not protect Kenny Pickett, in my opinion. There are some highlights to discuss whenever we want to move to that, but Laskers, what'd you see?
I saw just a bad game. I mean, the defense looked good, and we had one highlight player on the offense, but other than that, it just wasn't a good game to watch.
The Warren certainly partake. We talked about the defense playing good, but there's someone I want to talk about, and it's a reason why I feel, and Gingy, I mentioned it to you earlier, I feel Tomlin just plays Tomlin's guys because he wants to play his boys. That's why Najee gets more snaps than the superstar Jaylen Warren. But explain to me how Presley Harvin was worth a negative first down the whole game. And we can't say it's because he shanked one punt because Ravens Bengals. Let's get to the right team. The Browns punter had a shank that was worse than that. Presley Harvin being on this team is exactly the guy who shows me how the Steelers have lost their way of being a cutthroat football team where winning is the standard, Gingy.
Yeah, I don't know, Donkey. I'm not an expert in rating punters, but the numbers that he puts up consistently, so inconsistent. He can boom them. I've seen him boom them. But inconsistent at best for a team who, unfortunately, requires a good punter more often than not.
Yeah, especially when you play an offense that is designed to not score. And Laskers, I heard it talked about after the game, and of course we'll get to the big news of firing Matt Canada. But let's talk about the game first. Laskers, Mike Tomlin after the game talking, saying this is how we expected. They game planned for this. They knew it was going to come down to a few plays. When you're playing a backup quarterback, the biggest thing you want to avoid is letting them stay in the game. So the fact that Tomlin said they game planned to let this game stay close and knew it was going to come down to the end, that to me shows that we fundamentally lost this game before we even stepped on the field.
I agree. When Kenny can't even throw for more than, I'm going to use 110 yards because he had 106, that's just bad game planning when you know that you're going up against a backup quarterback who ended up throwing more yardage than we did.
Bad game planning. Laskers, we threw only like 3 balls more than 15 yards down the field. We had 7 or 8 behind the line of scrimmage. And hell, we threw one pass to what's considered the middle of the field, but nothing between the hashes. This is just obscene.
Oh, it definitely is. I mean, part of that, is we don't have a good tight end. And, normally you're between the hashes is your tight end. And I'm sorry, but Pat Freiermuth is not a good tight end. And we've talked about it before.
Disclaimer, Penn State fans, turn off your radio now because now you hate all of us. Gingy, let's talk about the defense. Good game from them, but we're going up against a backup left tackle and a third-string right tackle. And where the hell were T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith the whole game? I mean, the Browns threw the ball 50 times and we got, 2 quarterback pressures?
They really out-schemed the defense on that one. Yeah, they threw the ball, but Donkey, none of them throws they're all timing 1-2 throw. They're all timing patterns, slant patterns, screen patterns. They threw the ball down the field
more than us.
All right, don't try to negate my argument by comparing them to the dismal Steelers offense now. My point still stands that I think that the play calling on their end really geared against Highsmith and Watt, to be honest with you. And that's good on them, right? That didn't happen by accident. They chose a game plan to neutralize our strength on defense, which is our pass rush. So
Yes.
kudos to them.
Agreed. I want to point out something else to you, Gingy, and I want to get your take on this here. So the Browns are there; they're throwing it short. The Steelers, again, best defense is a drop pass. I rewatched the game. I think there was 9 drop passes, 6 by David Njoku alone. You talked about him being a difference maker. He certainly was. We were only in the game because he couldn't catch the football, Gingy. I mean,
it was a problem because he was
God.
wide open. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not like the
but-
balls weren't, they were like super
No.
contested or anything. That was
No,
just
we weren't
in
even-
between his ears, yeah.
We weren't even covering him. That's what I want to point out is, are we missing some viabilities on the Steelers defense because of the miscues by the Browns? Because they easily could have won this game by 10, 15 points if they just catch the football. It's much like the Baltimore game we won. They just catch the football, we lose. Is there like some magic shit the Steelers put in the other people's Gatorade before the game to make them drop the ball? And, Gingy, after that, I want to get into this. The Steelers need to make big splash plays. We got the one tip ball interception. But I'm going to tell you, the play that looms large in my head is a guy I loved in the preseason, practice squad guy. Thompson goes out there, number 17, undercuts a route beautifully and just doesn't hold on to the football. That hurts.
Yeah, didn't finish the play. And Donkey, what's happening to this defense here is what kind of has happened in the last few years. Just getting worn down. This time of the season with an offense that continually doesn't have time of possession, doesn't dictate pace, doesn't score points. Number one, they're getting a lot of minutes and a lot of drives put up on them at this point in the season. That's numero uno, right? And number two, we're not coming out there with squad 1A. We're getting some injuries. People are getting nicked. People are getting bumped. And that's what happens to this defense at this time of year when they're asked to do so much consistently every single game, is they cannot consistently hold that high of a level and that high of a gameplay through 18 games in a season, Donkey. It's just not possible.
I agree with you. I'm not blaming the defense for this. I told you before, I think we lost this game before it was played. I think we lost it in coaching. And I'm going to say it again. Conservative Tomlin cost us this football game. We talked about it earlier. How many times would Tomlin playing this way lose us football games? Well, here's the first one of the year. I think the question was 2. Here was the first one of the year. Without a doubt, we lose by 3 points. The last possession of the first half, last possession of the game. We're playing prevent and letting them get to field goal range for free. As a matter of fact, the last possession of the first half, our offense finally moved the ball a little, pins the Browns deep, and then they proceed to take a 7-minute scoring drive to end the half and give them the ball back at halftime. Up 10-0 after that. I honestly felt the game was done there, Gingy. And just this conservative crap loses you games against good teams. And we can say what we want. The Browns offense has lost Chubb, has lost Watson, but they still look like the better team out there because that defense they have plays aggressive, plays fast, and never plays conservative.
I hear you on that, Donkey. And thinking back to the first game that we played against the Browns this season, it took a significant. It took some luck, and it took a monumental game from the defense. I think the defense actually didn't just have a takeaway; they put points on the board. And in a 3-point game like this one, if they put points on the board in this one, then that's a wrap.
Same result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they just didn't. They had a great performance and not a legendary one, and that isn't enough when your offense does nothing.
True, and that's what I meant by luck was the tip ball going into T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith. Just the ball bouncing the right way is luck, and that's what happened in that first game. Was the luck was on our side? We got the win. This week the luck isn't there. We don't get the win. Laskers, I want to go to you. We talked about how dismal this offense was. We talked about how dismal this special teams was. We talked about how the defense played good, but it seemed like the coaches held the team back. Well, we can't yell at Matt Canada anymore. Thank God, because there are 2 plays I want to point out from this game that told me Matt Canada needed fired. Laskers, I want to get your take on them after I break them down. So there's a play, and if Kennedy yells, alert, 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 he's just canceling the first play that was called in huddle and going to the second one. He goes up to the line and goes, alert, alert, alert. 3 Browns defensive linemen shift to their left, and then we run the ball right to where they shifted. Oh my God, it's like they knew the play was coming. But wait, it gets better. We call a swing pass to Jaylen Warren, and there's not 1, there's not 2. There are 3 Cleveland Browns standing on our side of the line of scrimmage waiting to tackle him with not a Steeler within the vicinity. The hell does a guy who schemes up those type of plays last this long?
I really don't know, especially when we've seen it week after week that the defenses have figured out all of his play calling, and it's hurt us every week for weeks.
If you've ever watched Any Given Sunday when Jamie Foxx goes to the sideline and goes, same play, I feel that's the Steelers' offense right now, Gingy.
Yeah, it's been that way for a couple years now, and we kept talking about having the pieces to expand, and I don't know, Donkey, we're not seeing it. We don't know where it's at, whether it's the coaching or the players, but Kenny Pickett has moments, but he doesn't consistently look like he's making the decisions and the reads quick enough to move the offense and forward in a more complicated way than what we're doing. But with all this doom and gloom, Donkey, I'd be remiss if I did not mention, okay, seeing a run game and seeing the development of perhaps the basis of a run-first team, that's something to build on. Okay, let's see more of that.
Except if you take out 1-2 plays specifically, our run game averaged about 2 yards a carry. That, of course, is Jaylen Warren's huge touchdown and Najee Harris' 17-yard gain on 3rd and 20, where they gave him 17 yards. And let's be honest here, Najee Harris still didn't even touch 3 yards a carry with a free 17-yard carry. This team, Gingy, to answer your question before, it's a coaching, is it players? It's all of the damn above. We're having below average offensive line play, which dooms any team. You need to be able to block up front. Let's start the game with Dan Moore having outside help and then letting Myles Garrett run right inside him to get a sack, which should have been a safety. Let's start right there. Dan Moore doesn't even understand what the concepts are. Look at how good these players who leave Pittsburgh look when they leave offensive lineman-wise. So our coaches are drawing up a bad concept, which is being poorly executed. Kenny Pickett looks like a deer in headlights right now. I love Kenny. I think he's an NFL quarterback. But that dude's lost his moxie the last 4 weeks. It has not been effective and just doesn't look like he gets his reads right. And what makes me mad is you can tell he's being coached that if he doesn't see his first read to just instantly check it down, and that drives me nuts. But you can tell that's a coached thing because put on his tape from last year before he was a starter, put on his tape from college. That's not what he does. This is purely a coach thing, and maybe the change coordinator here helps that. But our offensive line's playing subpar. These wide receivers can't get open. Pat Freiermuth gets a screen pass that should be 20 yards. He runs into a defender, gets tackled for only 6. We end up going 3 and out. This team doesn't have a difference maker. And the worst part is, Gingy, I feel we are below average in terms, at least when you compare us to good teams. We're below average in every position except maybe running back. But our best running back isn't on the field half the damn time, Gingy. That's coaching.
I hear what you're trying to say, Donkey,
That's
but I'm
coaching.
not giving it to him 38 times a game, Donkey. I know you want it to be Barry Foster and Jerome Bettis in 1992, so we can give it to him 40 times a game. But there ain't no running backs that exist like that to me anymore. Okay, that just ain't happening, Donkey. So you got to have 2 guys out there.
No. You don't have to give Najee Harris 75% of the snaps and Jaylen Warren 40, which is what the numbers are working to right now with them being on the field at the same time. That should be flip-flop.
I think Jaylen Warren
becomes
less effective at 75% of the snaps, in my opinion, Donkey.
Have we seen him at 75% of the snaps? Have we seen that? We've increased his snaps from 20 to 30, from 30 to 40, and all the dude does is produce more and more and more. Everyone said this shit about Austin Eckler. Guess what? He became a featured back and became a Pro Bowler. The thing is, and Zoidie and me talk about this, you can't say the dude can't do it until you let him try. That's where the Steelers are. They're scared of their own damn shadow. They're scared to live in the modern NFL, and that's why this offense will be stuck in the Stone Age until that thought process changes. Your best player needs to be on the field more often than someone who was a first-round draft pick by name only. Laskers, thoughts on that?
I actually agree. I mean, you got to let him try. I mean, right now, just looking at the stats, he had 9 carries where Najee had 12, and Najee didn't even average 3 yards a carry.
Najee also got thrown the ball more often than Jaylen Warren. You don't have to let him touch the ball 38 times, Gingy. But, you put him in there, you take that swing pass you've run every freaking game this week, and instead of throwing the swing pass, you slip Deontay Johnson or George Pickens behind the defense. My goodness gracious, it's called a concept of building off itself. It's called an offense.
I like it. Let's see it.
I certainly hope Sullivan and Faulkner can figure that shit out, can learn how to use the middle of the field, and can learn how to utilize their weapons properly. I mean, just because homeboy Najee was a first-round pick doesn't mean anything. Look what happens when we took out the pure starter Chuck Okorafor, who, by the way, and this is what I'm going to say, wasn't playing terrible this year, but we decided to let the more talented guy play. Our right tackle play has exponentially gotten better. Our running game has exponentially gotten better. It's like, my God, when you put the better player on the field, good things can happen, Laskers.
Oh, definitely good things can happen when you put the good player on the field. I mean, otherwise, what are you even doing showing up for the game?
That's my question. Why did we even go to Cleveland, Gingy? Why did we even go?
Well, I feel like, I don't know, maybe this is a take, Donkey. Feel like this team feels like they're riding on that lady luck too much, right? It has turned out well. We have are now, after this game, 6-1 in the one-score games this season. So those one-score games that you alluded to that Coach Tomlin was quote-unquote planning for, those have been falling in the Steelers' favor thus far this season, and I don't know, maybe they're relying on that too much.
They certainly are. Mike Tomlin is coaching this team to not turn the ball over. It's why we want to. I'm all for rip on Kenny Pickett. He needs to start going rogue like Ben did early to prove he can be an NFL quarterback. But the one stat that he is good at is he is one of the best quarterbacks in not turning the ball over. But at the end of the day, does that matter? I watched Tua Tagovailoa turn the ball over twice today, almost 3 times. And you want to know how many damn points the Dolphins still put up? 36. Like, dude, to score points, you have to be aggressive. When you're aggressive, you're going to make mistakes. Mistakes need to be allowed to happen, Gingy. And the fact that we're not being aggressive, does that not point to coaching problems?
You would think so. Coaching problem, personnel problem. I don't know which, Donkey.
And I'm going to say it. This is the way I'm going to end my Browns game recap. Play 1 showed you exactly how the day was going to get. Myles Garrett beats Dan Moore inside, sack that should have been a safety. That's how the game goes. Jaylen Warren makes one miraculous play that makes us all feel we can get there. And then Kenny Pickett doesn't have any magic in him this week against the Browns. Game over. Defense did a solid job. But again, the prevent when you need to stop a score, being non-aggressive BS comes back to bite the Steelers. Laskers, how'd you feel?
I just don't feel good about that game at all. I didn't like what we saw at all. I mean, at least the defense showed up. I mean, could have showed up a little bit more and got us some points like they did in the first game, but just the game plan wasn't there.
Gingy.
Yeah, I do agree with what Lasker said. I don't know if I'm, again, Donkey, you throw up a lot of alarms that talk about a lot of different things overarching for our coaching staff, whatever else. But I do agree with you. I think our coaching staff got out-coached this game in particular. And we lost an opportunity there to really take a grasp on our own playoff future moving forward. That game will come back to bite us.
Oh, I bet it will. And Gingy, I just want to push on this point here because I want to get your perspective on it. That's purely why I think the people will appreciate this. You say this game, but I'm going to go through some games against winning teams, and you tell me which one you felt like we won because we coached better. I'm going to go San Francisco, Houston, Jacksonville, Baltimore, Cleveland. Go ahead and tell me which of these games, which are all the winning teams we played this year, you felt like the coaching staff outperformed the other team.
That's a loaded question, Donkey. Coaching staff in terms of offense, never. And that's why we just fired one in the middle of the season for the first time since the 1940s. Right? In
Yes,
terms
sir.
of head coaching, I still feel like
Maybe
the
Baltimore,
squad
because
is being
Harbaugh tried to
managed
outsmart
from a
us.
head coach perspective. I still feel like there's defensive schemes when we have our starters out there that are viable. It might just be an offensive problem. We'll see. We'll find out here pretty soon, won't we, Donkey?
You can put on that San Francisco tape, and you can go ahead and put on that Houston tape, and I will tell you, I don't give a crap who's out there. When we play a good team, they score points. Put on the Baltimore tape, too, and if their wide receivers catch the ball, they put up 40. But we can't say that here nor there. I mean, that is what it is. I just don't feel this team coaches to be competitive against good teams. I feel this coaching is for mediocrity. You can argue with me, you can say what you want from me, but I feel the stats are on my side here. Look at the Steelers' record versus teams that win playoff games, and look at the Steelers' record since 2010 in playoff games. It's what, like 3-5? And all those wins came in one season. This is just a team that is afraid to be aggressive. And in the modern league where aggressiveness is what is necessary to win football games, it just feels like we're a step behind everybody else. But maybe that's changing. The first firing of a coach in season since 1941 just happened. Thank you, Charlie Batch, because I firmly give you credit for this, for on your post-game show calling Art Rooney cheap and saying that he'll never fire a coach in season because he will refuse to pay anyone to not come work for him. Thank you. Art Rooney didn't want to seem as cheap as the Pirates, so he has a big meeting. Matt Canada's gone. Does this lead to a change before the Bengals game? Gingy Lasker's weigh that in, and then we'll break down the numbers against the Bengals.
Gingy will take it. I'll tell you what. I don't know if this is unprecedented for us. This is ultimately what was needed, right? Before we have to either marry or say bye-bye to Kenny Pickett, we need to have an understanding of what he can do within a normal functioning offense. Now, if he comes up short this time again, right, then that is able to give us more information to be able to move forward. So while I think this puts us in maybe a more difficult position in the short term, in the long term, it gives us access to the information that we need.
Without a doubt. Lasker's any thoughts on it?
I still have some concerns because we're just promoting people within the organization. And, I don't want to write Kenny off with promoting from inside. If he doesn't show up, is it still a overall coaching problem?
I hear you, and this is what I'm going to say on it, Laskers. I agree with you, especially when you consider they go to Faulkner instead of Sullivan as the offensive coordinator. They're going to let Sullivan call plays. But Faulkner is essentially Matt Canada's best friend. He's followed him around. He's been there. He's a guy who said, I can't believe this happened. I love Canada. My wife is best friends with his wife. I'm a little nervous that it's going to be more of the same. When Gingy, what we need to do is we need to air it out and see if Kenny Pickett's that guy who can win you a football game. We have 7 games to evaluate this year and see if he's the guy who can win you football games. Because if he's not, then next year you either bring in a bridge guy to compete with him or you draft a young guy to compete with him with the new offensive coordinator. Right now, I'm afraid, as Laskers is, we're not going to get to evaluate Kenny Pickett because we're still not going to throw the damn ball.
That could be a problem. We need to see him throw the ball deep. We need to see that play action get run. If we're going to be that identified as a team, right, then if you want to be the Derrick Henry Tennessee Titans, let's see if we can be them, Donkey.
You have to run a play action in order to be that team, but I'll get into that into the next part. Right now, it's time to bring you some fat, spoiled, and sassy numbers against the Bengals. Of course, we're at Cincinnati this week. The Steelers are 68-39 all time in the series. At Cincinnati, we're 34-20. The biggest win ever came in 1988. The Bengals beat us 42-7. We have 2 28-point wins in 2008, 38-10, and in 2011, 35-7. Thank you, Ben, for both of those performances. The longest streak was the Steelers from 2015 to 2020. We won 11 straight. Cincinnati won 6 straight from 1988 to 1990. The current streak is the Bengals at 1. And my God, if you've watched the Bengals offense and the Steelers offense, would you two believe That game last year was 37-30. Holy moly, both these teams, that'd be like their best game this year.
I like it. Let's go.
The Donk Nation predictor originally was predicting the Bengals to win, but then you bring in the injured quarterback ratio, and it says the Steelers will win this game 18-15. So we know what the power index indicator thinks. We know what's going on here. We know the Bengals are going to be without Joe Burrow and perhaps for sure now.
T. Higgins is out for sure.
Along with one of their cornerbacks out there. The double name guys, something Britt, I can't remember the first part of it, is going to be out. The Steelers, of course, will be out without Minka and Adam and possibly without James Pierre. First NFL start for Jake Browning. Played at Washington. I think he's in his second year technically now. Little athletic type of guy. But you look at the Bengals this year. They're just a shell of the offense they're supposed to be. You look at the Steelers this year. They're just a shell of the offense people thought they would be after the preseason. If this comes down to defensive play, the Steelers have been a little better at that, but the Bengals are getting back Sam Hubbard this week. Big pass rusher in there, one of their two big pass rushers. Maybe that makes a difference for them. I don't know what to think about. Gingy, Lasker, some quick thoughts before I get to the cash or trash to break this game down.
Losing Burrow is definitely a big thing for them. I mean, that's going to hurt them, but we just witnessed, the Browns losing a quarterback and us getting beat by the backup guy. So it's definitely still a concern. And I mean, Sam Hubbard's definitely a good player, so them getting him back is going to be, cause for concern for Kenny when we can't block anyone.
True. Gingy, any quick thoughts?
Oh boy, Donkey, going to be one again. Classic AFC North. Throw the records out the windows. Throw the stat sheets out the windows. We're going to have to see who comes up in crunch time, who makes the big play in the moment. We need big splash plays. I'd like to see them on both sides of the ball, but either side of the ball would be fine with me.
Yeah. Well, we did have a splash play on both sides of the ball last week, and that still wasn't enough. I think we need 5 splash plays minimum.
A couple. All right, is it too much to ask for more than one? I was thankful
at this freaking point, yes. Yes, this is my answer to you. I don't know how to put the thoughts in my head without sounding ridiculous and swearing a lot. So I'll just say yes. That is too much to ask for.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Let's break it down on offense. The Steelers' new offensive coordinator. That means there's going to be a new set here. Sullivan's been working with Pickett all year, quarterback coach. He gets to call the plays now. Cash or trash, Laskers. The Steelers will throw the ball more than 60% of their snaps this week.
Trash. I'm thinking maybe 50.
Fair enough. Gingy, I want to go to you. Last week, the Steelers threw a whopping 1 pass in the middle of the field. That accounted for, about 3% of their pass plays? Cash or trash, the Steelers will throw the ball in the middle of the field more than 30% of their pass attempts this week.
30%, Donkey.
I know, right?
30%.
NFL average is 37.
That's good to know, but Donkey, I'm going to trash that. Who are they going to throw it to? 30%
I don't know.
of the time.
Fireman's supposed to be good, right?
I don't know. I think he is, but I don't know.
I mean, Deontay Johnson with Ben, Deontay Johnson, 50% of his targets were considered middle of the field targets because of all them damn quick slants. Just putting that out there.
Maybe, why don't we run that? Is it because Kenny has no timing?
I don't know how to tell you anything. I will tell you this offense sucks at coaching. This offense sucks at producing. This offense sucks. Okay? I don't know what to tell you.
Yeesh. That's scary, Donkey.
Dude, I watch every game at least twice, and it's more painful to watch it a second time when you know what's coming, but you knew what was coming in live action. Because heaven forbid we do anything that's outside of the normal. Which brings me to my next point, Laskers. Outside of the normal, Jaylen Warren is going to get more snaps than Najee Harris this week. Cash or trash?
Cash by 1.
Hey, that's an improvement, so I will take that to the bank and run with it. Gingy, cash or trash, a Steelers wide receiver will score a touchdown. Tight ends count.
Ooh, give me a cash on that this week. Somebody's going to get one out there. Show me one to Pickens.
Go back about 6 weeks. I can show you one to Pickens.
6 weeks. Oof.
Well, I think we have one passing touchdown. Right? We have one passing touchdown since the bye, and that was to Deontay Johnson. So
that's so bad, Donkey. That is so bad.
Yeah, I don't know how to be nice. Lasters, let's finish up the offense talk right here. The offensive line is going to play good, and they're going to give up pressures on less than 15% of pass plays. Cash or trash?
Ooh, I'm definitely going to go with trash on that. I'm hoping, but I haven't seen it yet this year.
I think we saw it once, and it might have been the Tennessee game. All right, now on to the defense. This is where more of the splash tends to happen. Gingy, we have moving parts. I think we just signed the dude who was selling Pokemon cards, Blake Martinez. We signed Miles Jack. There's 1,000 new middle linebackers. Gingy, cash or trash, one of the new players, either a middle linebacker or someone playing at safety, Miles Killebrew, Trenton Thompson, will make your quote-unquote splash play this week.
Oh, boy. Go ahead. I'll cash that up. Next man up mentality. Killebrew. Show me something on special teams. That counts, right, Donkey?
Yeah, it does. That's why I threw his name out there. Let's go. Gingy caught my little subtle slip there. Very well, Gingy. I like it. All right, Laskers, here we go. Pass rush extraordinaires paying $1 jillion to TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. But, man, the pressure rate since the bye week has been dismal. It is actually, if you look over the last 2 years, this has actually been consistent for them to have a huge drop-off in pass rush rate as the season goes on. So, Laskers, cash or trash, 2.5 plus sacks from our outside linebackers, and yes, the backups count as well.
I'm going to cash that one. I think part of our problem is they're getting gassed with how much they're on the field.
It's fair. I don't disagree with you. Gingy, let's go back to your side of the ball here. The Bengals are actually bad at running the ball, which is what I think has really hurt them. But Joe Mixon has a history of running good against the Steelers. Cash or trash, the Pittsburgh Steelers hold Joe Mixon under 75 yards rushing.
Cash it in if they're gonna need to. They're gonna need to. I think this is a week where they come out and they show a complete game and shut down a division rival who is in and of itself kind of struggling as well. We need to close them out, Donkey. We got enough competition with Cleveland and the Ravens in this division. Somebody needs to close out the Bengals and just finish off their season for them.
That would be nice. Laskers, we're going to you. The Bengals, without T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd has more drops this year than he had his past 4 seasons combined. That means Jamar Chase is the focal point of this team. Cash or trash, the Steelers are going to be able to game plan to take away the Bengals' number 1 weapon and will hold Jamar Chase under 80 receiving yards.
I'm going to cash that one. It's going to be tough, but I think they can figure out how to hold him, especially because you can probably double team him.
That would be absolutely fantastic to see. Gingy, I absolutely hate prevent defense. It's cost the Steelers football games every damn year. So cash or trash, the Steelers at end of half drives will not play prevent this week.
Oh, Donkey, I don't know.
that's 100% trash in my opinion. But Gingy, come on.
Yeah,
Give me hope.
I'm going to trash that opinion. I think you're going to see more of the same in that regard.
Ow.
Steelers always like it to play conservative ball, donkey.
Yeah, I know, and that's not how modern football's played, but that's neither here nor there. That's the cash or trash wrap on this. There's a couple things. Really, the injury front's going to be huge in this game, guys. That's what I'm looking at. The Bengals don't have a huge tight end. I think Sample's their guy now. They don't have that tight end they've had before with like Awuzie or Hurst, that guy who really just opens up the middle. I think that's what's led to the decrease in the running game. Jamar Chase is still a monster. I mean, everyone tells me how Pickens is that guy. Pickens isn't even T. Higgins level, Gingy. Let's be honest here. T. Higgins right now is a better player than Pickens. But people want to compare Pickens to the top tier guys like Jamar Chase. I don't see it. But maybe this is the week he comes out, Gingy, and shows that, hey, our weapons are as good as someone else's.
Yeah, let's hope so. Without Burrow at the helm, I don't think those weapons are quite as effective on that side of the ball. And again, that is one thing that you did mention earlier about consistency and effectiveness of weapons. Deontay and Ben Roethlisberger did work together, right? Deontay at that point having a lot of unforced errors, but I'm not seeing Kenny being able to get him the ball in the same way. And donkey, I'm worried. I just need to see an explosion. Remember, I've been waiting for one all Seeky weekend, donkey, and I haven't seen an explosion yet.
I'm assuming
it's making me nervous.
The whole team.
I'm listening to the words in my head in the podcast here, donkey, and it sounded like a lot of doom and gloom for a 6-4 football team, very much in the hunt in the AFC. But there has been zero explosions so far this whole year.
The reason for the doom and gloom is everyone always says the same old boring, stupid lines. The run game travels, the defense travels, right? Gingy, look at the last 10 teams to make the Super Bowl and tell me which one of those teams weren't an explosive offense. Well, Philly was a running-based offense who threw the ball over the top to A.J. Brown every other freaking game. I mean, Jesus, the reason for the doom and gloom is we talked about it, you talked about it. Does getting rid of a big problem in Matt Canada even fix the problem, Gingy? Like, this is like a boat with 30 damn holes, and we're trying to figure out which one to plug to make sure we don't sink, but we can only plug one. Like, I don't know, Gingy.
It should fix something, right? Again, Lasker's mentioned it earlier, though, going within the organization again. Donkey, do you think that we unfortunately just see more of the exact same this week?
Yes, because this is Mike Tomlin's way of playing football. He's admitted it. He doesn't want his offense to turn the ball over. He wants to play field position. He wants to play those one-score games. And I think it'll work this week, don't get me wrong. I just don't think that's a good philosophy.
I definitely don't think it's a good philosophy. I mean, it's not the old Steelers way of football, not the smash mouth football that we all grew up on. You know, you want to try to put up as many points as you can every week, not play to maybe lose by 3.
Yeah, I mean, look at us when we play these top-class teams. I mean, Jacksonville's a bottom tier of the top-class teams, but look at them. They're 30 points every other week. Houston's 30 points every week. Cleveland was a ridiculously good defense, but that's why they're not considered with those top teams. Baltimore puts up 30 points a week. Miami, Buffalo, Kansas City, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Dallas, Minnesota, Detroit. Gingy, what do all of those teams have in common?
Now scoring points, donkey.
What the hell are we trying to do playing this boring style of football? Our best case scenario right now, Gingy, and I'm not saying this is a bad best case scenario. I'm just saying as a Steelers fan, this wouldn't be an acceptable best case scenario. Is best case scenario is we become the Tennessee Titans, and what the hell did they win? An NFC or an AFC South once? Like, seriously, that's our best case scenario.
That's how this team's looking like it's being built. But what else do you do besides find Patrick Mahomes?
I'm going to say something right now. Detroit had a cast off in Jared Goff. Seattle had a cast off in Geno Smith. There's a 7th-round pick lighting it up in San Francisco. Dak Prescott was a 4th-rounder. Let's go over to the AFC. Everyone wrote Tua off after 2 years. You don't need Patrick Mahomes. You need a system that works with the quarterback you have. And Gingy, when you run the ball 60% of the time and you refuse to use play action, I don't know what you can do. Because the idea of running the ball is to set up the play action pass. But the Steelers use play action pass the least amount in the NFL in terms of dropbacks. Like, we have a good running game, but the hell do we use it for? That's why we don't score points. Because sure, we can run the ball pretty well, but we don't use it to set anything up. It's like our offensive coordinator hits his head, gets deja vu every play, and forgets what he did the play before.
Maybe he does.
Jesus. If that was the real reason, I'd... But Gingy, the reason for the doom and gloom is not only does it look bad, the stats are bad. It is bad. Like, you watch this team, and you tell me one time this year you felt the offense put together a whole half of good football.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, Donkey.
I mean, our offense is literally the damn New York Jets right now, and if you didn't watch that game, you should, because this is how I'll sum up the Jets. Their defense gets a pick six, then gets another interception to try and set up a last-second score. They throw a Hail Mary that turns into a 99-yard interception touchdown for the other team. Like, my goodness gracious. They're snake-bitten, cursed, but I just don't see the bright point on the Steelers. And, Gingy, this is what really upsets me. When we look at these players, if I named you 10 wide receivers just off the top of my head, you tell me if we have one that's on that level. Let's see. Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb. You just keep going down there. DK Metcalf, Brown and either Brown, the AJ Brown, Stephon Diggs. You name those type of guys. Do we have someone at that level?
No. We Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, Calvin Austin.
At 2A at best.
No.
You go at tight end. You're talking the Kittles of the world, the Kelseys of the world, even Sam Laporta in Detroit, the rookie. Do we have a guy that's at that top tier level in tight ends? No. You go to running back. Look at the big running backs out there. Acne out there. Christian McCaffrey. Alvin Kamara still. You look at those guys. Do we have a running back on that level? Here's the one that pisses me off. Gingy, we might, and his name's Jaylen Warren, but we won't know because we don't let him see the field enough. Like, Jesus. It's like, when we have something nice, we refuse to use it. You don't believe that? Everyone in the world knew Broderick Jones was the best tackle on this team before the season started. The hell did it take him 8 weeks to become the starter?
Not sure. Not sure on that, Donkey.
Is that player production or is that coaching? Personnel decisions. That's what I mean. Joey Porter Jr. is clearly the only cornerback that can cover. Now, I'll say this. The dude can't tackle. But at the end of the day, Deion Sanders said, you don't pay me to tackle. I feel like this team, and this is why I get doom and gloom. I feel like this team's afraid of its own damn shadow. Like, they're afraid to step out of the box because if they try to be aggressive, they just might lose. But by being afraid to be aggressive, Laskers, they don't give themselves a chance to win.
Oh, I agree with that. If you're afraid to lose, you won't take any chances, and you're going to lose 90% of your games doing that. I mean, we've been really lucky this year in not losing 90% of our games.
I hear you. And, Gingy, this is what I'll say to counter Laskers to let you get into it. I don't think that's true. I think that's true against good teams. I think by playing scared, you can beat a bad team because they will make mistakes more often than they make good plays. That's why we have such good records against rookie quarterbacks, is they're learning the league and they're more likely to make a mistake. they'll exploit your mistakes or they'll make their own mistakes. They don't have the ability to be patient and play within themselves yet, is the way I feel. And Gingy, I feel that's where the Steelers have been for a decade. We play this type of ball, we know we'll beat the bad teams, and then pray that a good team plays a bad game. I feel like that's where we've been for a decade, and it just doesn't work, it doesn't seem.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's working, does it, Donkey? How do you fix it then, huh? You're just gonna fire the whole coaching staff middle of the season and Donkey,
No.
This was the rebuild. Rebuild. You're talking about rebuilding, Donkey.
I hear you. And in the rebuild, you should be developing and figuring out stuff. Gingy, do you feel like we developed or figured anything out this year?
Oh boy, figured out that.
Like, have you made a decision on Kenny Pickett? Have you made a decision on George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth, Deontay Johnson, Najee Harris, Jalen Warren?
I made my decision on Deontay Johnson quite some time ago, Donkey. You know this.
Yeah, bad example.
That decision has been long made for him. But the other guys, Freiermuth, Pickens, Pickett. Donkey. If this doesn't come together by the end of this season, I'm about ready to make a decision on Pickett.
That's fair, but then you still have 5 question marks at the skill position players. How about the offensive line? Do you feel like you can evaluate any of them?
I'm okay with that besides Dan Moore. Be honest.
Really? Because Daniels and Mason Cole
and Cole. No, I need a center. And I need a...
That's what I mean. We say we're in a rebuild, but in a rebuild, you should be figuring things out. And I'm going to be honest, I haven't figured anything out because we don't let Pickett actually run a professional offense. And Pickett is struggling to run this rudimentary offense, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. And my biggest question, and this is something only the coaching staff and maybe the GM can answer, is, are they teaching these quarterbacks to not turn the damn ball over? Is that their main goal, is to have these quarterbacks play safe? It feels like it is. We'll never know whether it is or isn't. But Laskers, it has to be objectively the reason, because if they weren't coaching the quarterbacks to play this way, then Kenny Pickett should have been roasted and thrown in the fire a long time ago.
I agree. Unless you're obviously training your players to not turn the ball over, okay, not throwing the ball over 10 yards, you're less likely to throw an interception if you're not doing that. Then it's clearly being coached into him, because that's not how he played at Pitt. He threw more than 10 yards.
Yeah, he threw for 4,000 plus yards that last season, a bunch of deep throws. And here's the thing, Jim, that I think makes it hard to evaluate Kenny Pickett is the short, easiest throws in the NFL are over the middle. You throw the ball less distance. That's just the way it is. Yes, those are the riskier throws. They're intercepted at a higher percent than anything else. But we have an offense that doesn't let him utilize the most important section of a football field.
Yeah. Let's hope that this change in coordinator brings about some more understanding. Put it that way, Donkey.
I agree with you there. Gingy, I am absolutely happy the Steelers are in a rebuild and we're not a crappy team that's just begging to get lucky on the next quarterback draft, right? I am absolutely thankful. I'm not going to go through thankful things because it was just Thanksgiving. I am absolutely thankful that we have a couple really good pass rushers and a really good looking rookie class. I mean, Benton looks great. Porter looks like he can cover. Broderick Jones looks like a stud. Herbig looks like a good depth level guy. Washington looks like a good pass blocking tight end. I am thankful for the draft class we're having. I am thankful that it seems Omar Khan has an idea of how to build a proper football team. And I am thankful that as a Steelers fan, I haven't had to feel the 8 losing seasons in 10 years that the Bengals had to feel in order to get Joe Burrow.
True.
But I would be remiss if I didn't say I would be more thankful if I didn't have to have a heart attack every freaking Sunday, Gingy.
Yeah, I think you and a lot of other people probably could do without the show-stopping antics every week here.
And Laskers, you know it. I was defending Kenny Pickett so hard at the beginning of the season because Matt Canada never should have been brought back. But at the end of the day, I've said it the last few weeks, and Gingy knows I don't disagree. Kenny Pickett's not playing good football, but neither's Deontay Johnson, neither's George Pickens, neither's Pat Freiermuth, neither's Najee Harris, neither's Mason Cole, James Daniels, or Dan Moore. The only people on offense I think are playing good football are Broderick Jones, Isaac Seumalo, and Jaylen Warren. Just you have to have a majority of your people playing good football, and the Steelers just, for whatever damn reason, can't figure it out.
Oh, I agree. I mean, you can't solely blame Kenny Pickett. I mean, you can't solely blame Deontay. But as a unit, this offense just looks terrible. There's barely anyone showing up. They have no heart. They have no soul to win a game.
That's how it feels. And Gingy, we're talking about, well, a few years ago, Tolman had this Roethlisberger. You do realize in Kenny Pickett's last 17 games, which would be a full season, he would have a winning percentage that Ben Roethlisberger only topped twice in the last 15 years. Like, for as much hate as we're giving this offense, record-wise, we're the same freaking team we've been for 10 years. Now, albeit we don't have the Killer Bee fun 3 years in there, but boy, oh boy, when you look at it that way, that perspective, and then say, but we still didn't have success against good teams, it makes it hard for me to feel like it's not coaching at the grand scheme of this.
It sounds like it when you put it that way, Donkey.
I know, I learned how to phrase things really well. And anyone who's listening today, I'm about to wrap up what I got here. I got Gingy to give me an emotional response. I'm proud of myself, so shout out to me for that. Just kidding. Lasters, other AFC North games this week would be...
Browns at Broncos.
Ooh, that's a good one. Got Browns, Broncos.
You want the other one too?
Yeah,
Ravens, Chargers.
Rappers playing at Baltimore or at or LA.
At LA.
All right, Laskers, Gingy. Any closing thoughts on this game or anything we talked about today that you guys want to get out there to make sure that your chance is known? Because Dom Nation would love to hear it.
I got nothing to add.
Oh, come on. I was so stoked last week when Jaylen Warren popped off that big one.
That was sexy.
Oh my God. I was jumping up and down. We haven't seen a run like that one in quite a bit, I don't think.
Like longest since like 05 or something. Longest touchdown in a
Shades of Willie
long
Parker.
time.
Shades of Willie Parker. Made me smile, Donkey. I liked it.
That dude seems special, that's for sure.
That's what I got to say about that. Time to lock down this AFC North and get locked in, all right? Split with the Browns. Now we're ready to start our first game of the season against the Bengals. 1-0.
Outplayed for 8 quarters against the Brownies, 1-1. I'll take it.
It's so sad. Lucky. Absolutely sad, but true.
Laskers, I want to start with you. You got the Browns going to the red-hot Broncos. Who'd you like in this one?
Oh, boy. This is actually a tougher one for me than I'd like it to be, but I'm going to go with the Broncos taking that one.
Gingy.
Browns. Give me the Broncos. No, it's tough to say that, too, because, Broncos have been riding kind of streaky the last 2 weeks, almost seeing the light at the end of the tunnel for them. Still having quarterback shifts in Cleveland, coming off a big emotional win in the Steelers. Might have them see a letdown this week. Give me Broncos.
You exactly hit why I think the Broncos will win. Home team and a team that is due for a letdown after the way they won the last game. I like Denver as well. Let's get into Baltimore going to the Chargers. Remember when the Chargers were a sneaky dark horse Super Bowl pick? Man, that seems miles away. As Stanley, whatever the hell the coach name is, again finds himself on the hot seat because he's a defensive coach that can't coach a decent defense. Laskers, who'd you like?
Oh, give me the Ravens in this one.
Ginger.
Ravens.
I don't like agreeing with you guys, but the cross-country travel is the only thing that makes me think maybe not, but I don't trust the Chargers. I don't know why. That brings us to the money game, and we're going to do something different. I'm going to get my pick first this time because you know what? The Dog Nation Power Index hasn't been wrong since week 8 predicting who's going to win Steelers games, so I'm not going to go against it. I like the Steelers. I like this team man for man manning up. A coach gets fired, that can invigorate you. Gingy, I like it 30-17. X Factor, who shall I take? I think my X Factor is going to be Pat Freiermuth. Gingy, who do you like?
Give me the Steelers 21-16. X Factor.
That's a Steelers score.
Time to let's see Jaylen Warren become a superstar.
That'd be nice. I'm all for Austin Eckler 2.0. Laskers, who do you like?
Give me the Steelers 24-21 because we know that's how Tomlin plays. And my X factor is going to be Deontay. I think Deontay's going to come up with a good game this week.
I thought for sure you were going to say Boswell when you said the game was decided by a field goal.
I actually thought about it, but
I honest to God thought that's where that was going. So it's that time of the year, for time of the day, I guess, for a shout out. Y'all got anything to shout out? It was just Thanksgiving, so you should be thankful for something. Laskers.
I am thankful we finally fired Matt Canada.
Fair. Follow that one up, why don't you?
I'm thankful for a long run last weekend, even in a Steelers loss. Nice to see a big play on offense, whether it's on the ground or in the air. Oof, let's see some more of them. Shout out, thankful, Jaylen Warren. Let's see a superstar. Are we seeing a shooting star being born here?
I would certainly hope so.
I guess
it's time to give a shout out. And I'll give a shout out to, Faulkner and Sullivan both getting a chance to take a step up. Sullivan's called plays before, offense coordinator in Tampa Bay with Josh Freeman, and offense coordinator in New York for Eli Manning. Let's hope he can bring out a 4,000-yard Freeman performance out of Kenny Pickett. But these two guys stepping up, getting a chance, another man's, misfortune is good luck for someone else. So shout out to those two. Hopefully they get it going. I guess I'll let you know. I am the Viking Donkey, Viking_Donkey on Twitch and Twitter, the X, your Daily Dose of Donkeys YouTube channel where you get all this fun content. Long episode this week because there was a lot to emotionally invest after a hard loss in the division. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you like. Make sure you catch the Bugcap. He actually did pretty good this week. Laskers, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm going to give a shout out to Art Rooney finally grabbing some balls and firing someone mid-season. And I'm the Laskers everywhere. And over to you, Gingy.
Gingy in the house. AFC. Can we get hyped up for another AFC North battle here, people?
My heart can't take it.
Get them towels waving. Holy smokes. Let's keep it rolling. Here we go, Steelers.